Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Surviving Events, the show that seems to know everything about nothing or everything in sports. I'm one of your co-hosts, Steve Risley. Our other co-host, Mike Goodpaster, we've got him on secret assignment today. Actually, we've got him rummaging through Zion Williamson's trash cans to see if we can get any dirt on his contract that he might be signing or any houses he might be buying in New Orleans right now or any other stuff we can talk about and beat everybody to. We do have our resident NBA beat writer on today, Cole Hannon, who also covers IU for us, is our resident IU beat writer as well. We'll talk about two things today. We're going to talk about last night's game and did Golden State set the tone for what this series is going to look like, even without Kevin Durant, or should we expect different things out of Portland down the road? And then, obviously, the big news that took place yesterday was the draft. The lottery draft picks and put everybody in place, everybody in order. The draft selection process is in place now. I think it's no surprise who the number one pick is going to be, and we'll go through the draft after we get through the first game. And then from there, it seems a little foggy as we've all looked at several mock drafts, and they've got variances down the road. Cole, I'm sure, has expert insight of that. You have expert insight of that, don't you, Cole?
Of course. That's why I'm here, right?
Yeah. Man of many words. Thanks, Cole. Don't make me talk too much because I'll botch this show up. You need to talk a lot. If you rely on me to talk, we'll be here all day, first off.
Steve, we all know you love to talk. Yeah.
I love to talk. I love to hear myself talk, that's for sure.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
I would be remiss if I didn't thank MyBookie AG, who vigilantly sponsors us, sponsors Survive in Advance, sponsors thegruelingtruth.com, and has been a wonderful partner with us in promoting sports books, sports gambling, sports betting, doing it in a decent, clean way. MyBookie AG, with a special offer through thegruelingtruth.com, will match you 100% on the first $300 that you place into your account with MyBookie AG. So if you make a $300 deposit, MyBookie AG will cut you another $300, and you'll have $600 to play with. Right from there, I suggest you get online at 2 o'clock and listen to our resident betting genius, Bobby Sheridan of the Sheridan Report, who I think is like 99-1 or something like that since he's been on our program. I think he's maybe missed one bet. And so far as well, I know he's got Mike gambling now, and I do know that Mike was able to purchase a new John Deere Gator. He got one with a cover on it and with a heater inside, so he now can go grocery shopping in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, year-round. And doesn't have to be out in the cold and put on 2 or 3 parkers. What do you think about that? You're in Indiana, Cole. Is that a good thing to have a hood, a roof on your Gator, and one of those little space heaters in it that keeps you warm?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, you don't need anything else if you have that, right? I mean, that pretty much takes care of that.
Yeah, out here we just use surfboards. We just jump on Malibu and go into Santa Monica and get the groceries and hope the sharks don't get us on the way back to Malibu.
There is a 0% chance you can surf. There's no way,
There is a 0% chance that I want to surf because there are sharks out there in Malibu Bay, and they want to eat people. And the size I am like a smorgasbord for sharks. So I splash a lot of water when I fall in, which I would fall in obviously a lot if I tried to surf. But anyway, all right. Again, thank you to MyBookie AG. They have been a wonderful partner, and we really appreciate having them on board with us as a co-sponsor of all of our programs on thegruelingtruth.com. All right, Cole. Was the tone set last night? We had our first Eastern or Western Conference final game. I know a lot of people, including some people that are affiliated with Survive in Advance, are picking Portland to win this series. I am picking Golden State. I just think there's too much knowledge, history, cohesiveness in that organization, confidence, everything. I think that everybody agreed that this was probably the one game that Portland was going to lose if they were going to lose one. I know some of our cohorts were picking even a 4-1 finish for Portland in this. After last night, in my opinion, it doesn't look like it's going to be that way. What are your thoughts on last night's game?
Yeah, I'd pick Golden State as well in this one, Steve. I just think they have too much talent. But the big thing for Portland, if they're going to win this series, Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum need to go toe-to-toe with the top guys for Golden State. Golden State's a team that, they really, really between Steph and Clay killed Portland all night. You know, those two guys combined for 62 points. And Damian Lillard and McCollum did not live up to the expectation. They combined for just 36 points. Lillard had 7 turnovers to 6 assists. You know, they just did not come to play. They couldn't match the output of Golden State stars. And if they have a chance in this series, those two guys need to be better. They got some balanced scoring. They got 5 guys in double digits, but they need their 2 stars to play like superstars and go toe-to-toe with Golden State superstars. That didn't happen. And the scary thing is, you know, Kevin Durant's the best player in the series out of either team, and he didn't even play in this game. And Golden State absolutely ran away with this one in the fourth quarter. So, you know, when they get Durant back, that's just another lethal weapon Golden State's going to have, and I just don't see Portland having the firepower to stand up to that.
That's a question I have for you. I mean, basically, since Durant went out, it seems like the Warriors have gelled a little more, a little better. I mean, he goes out, and then Steph has an incredible second-half run, in his third, fourth quarter run, comes back, scores no points in Game 7 of the first half, and then scores 33 in the second half. Is this team playing better without Kevin Durant right now? Should they be in no real hurry? I mean, you don't want to not take a player of that caliber and play him, but should they be in no real hurry to get him back?
Yeah, I think they have the luxury. They don't need to force Durant back, you know, if he's not 100%. If he needs time off, you know, they have the luxury. They can give him that time off. Because the reality is, even without Durant, this is still probably the most talented team in the NBA, just on paper.
Agreed, yeah. I think so.
Yeah, so that's really, you know, they have a luxury here that most teams can't afford, where they have what is probably the best player left in the playoffs at this stage on their team, and they don't need to force him back. You know, obviously, I'm not going to say they're better without Durant, because I think that's probably going a little bit too far. But what they do have is they have a lot of different guys that can hurt you. So if you take Durant out of that lineup, then you see guys like Steph and Clay, you know, step up to the plate and they shine. And, you know, they have a lot of different guys that can hurt you. And Portland defensively is going to have to switch some things around because, you know, that three-point defense they were playing last night was not working. Golden State goes 17 of 33 from behind the arc. Steph Curry got a lot of open looks from behind the arc. I mean, they're going to have to switch some things around there. Their pick-and-roll defense in particular really was not working well at all.
Yeah, is after Game 1, and you're not going to judge a book by its cover, and the cover is Game 1.
Yeah.
Is Portland a little overrated, or are they a little over their heads, or are they going to rebound from this and throw the kitchen sink at Golden State in Game 2 here? I think Golden State goes to Portland 2-0.
Yeah,
that's what I think. And then I think when you're digging a hole that far down against a team like Golden State, it's pretty tough to pick it up.
Yeah. You know, I don't want to say they're overrated because, you know, they've been impressive in the playoffs. They beat Denver, who is a 2 seed, you know, in a big Game 7. But I think people maybe got a little too high on them. I don't see a way Portland wins this series. I certainly don't think Portland's a better team than Golden State. Talent-wise, I don't think this is really even a close matchup. I mean, listen, the reality is before, you know, they beat Oklahoma City and beat Denver, there were not many people who were picking Portland to be in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, I believe they were favored to lose to Oklahoma City in that first round. You know, obviously they've had some successful, you know, performance in the playoffs this far, but I think people did get maybe a little bit too high on them and predicting that they're going to beat Golden State or that, you know, they're going to represent the West in the finals. I think that's a little bit too far. I think Game 2 is going to be a huge game in this series. I think, like you said, coming back from a 2-0 deficit is tough to do. But, you know, Houston did it too. You know, they were down 2-0.
It's tough to do against Golden State.
It is tough to do. And honestly, I think Houston's a better team than Portland is, personally.
Oh, I agree. I think everybody thought that the Eastern Conference Championships was Houston and Golden State. That either Denver or Portland was going to be a forethought. Not that they're shabby basketball teams, you know. And of course, with Gary Harris. You know Gary. I know Gary. Your brother knows Gary. We all grew up with Gary. You know, we all were rooting for Denver. I'm sure I know for sure. I wanted to see Gary move on and keep playing. His parents are wonderful people. But, you know, I think the Western Conference Finals were – but I tell you what, they pretty well handled Houston too. I mean, I thought Houston would have given them a tougher run than they did. Well, you know, Houston's got some soul searching to do too, if they're ever going to get past the Golden State Warriors, unless the Golden State Warriors fall apart after this season. And there's all kinds of rank and rumor going on about the fact that Durant's leaving. You know, Klay Thompson's really unhappy. Guys want to be a star on another team. They want bigger paychecks, which justifiably I understand. But I can't believe any of them are going broke. They're all making tens of millions of dollars, putting money away if they're smart, going to have a great life the rest of their life, and they're winning championship rings. And ultimately, if you are a true competitor, that's why you're playing the game. I mean, the money certainly is nice, and there are teams you play on where you just simply play for the money, because you're not going to ever be in a position on that current team to win a championship with that team. It's probably in the duration of a career. And there's probably more teams like that in the NBA than there are teams that are in the position of, say, a Houston or a Milwaukee or even a Toronto or Golden State. They're playing for championships.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's a choice, but it'll be interesting to see at the end of the season. So I predict Golden State comes back out, and I think it'll be a little tougher game, but I think Golden State's still going to control game 2. They're going to go to Portland 2-0. And then, you know, Portland's playing with their backs to the wall at that point in time. They can't afford to go 1-1 in Portland, because you don't want to come back 3-1 back to Golden State. If you do, the series is over. It will be a 4-1 series, but not in the way that you know, our co-hosts predict it to be. But, you know, these guys are pretty smart guys, so they know what they're talking about too. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah.
Before we get into the draft, tonight we start the Eastern Conference Finals. Does Toronto have a chance here?
Toronto has a chance. You know, the big thing when I look at this series, and I wrote a little bit about it in my article today previewing the game, is the big thing Milwaukee has is they have a balanced approach, but they also have Giannis, and no one has found a way to be able to slow him down. What Toronto does have is they have 2 elite defenders that they can throw at him, and Pascal Siakam and Kawhi Leonard. The big thing I'm looking for tonight is, can those 2 guys find a way to slow down Giannis? If they can do that, I think they have a chance in this series, because those 2 are elite defenders. Honestly, if you're going to pick a team defensively that could try to contain Giannis, I'd probably pick Toronto between Kawhi and Siakam, because those 2 guys do match up well with them. Now, that, you know, they're not going to win that series if they can slow down Giannis, because we've talked a lot about how Milwaukee, you know, they do have a balanced approach. They have Chris Middleton, Eric Bledsoe, George Hill. These guys, you know, have played really well in the playoffs. You know, a big thing with Milwaukee is going to be Malcolm Brogdon is back from injury. He's only played 1 game. Where is he at health-wise? Is he 100%? But, you know, I think Milwaukee's a better team. I think we'll see Milwaukee win, but I definitely think Toronto has a chance.
Yeah, and I think the key there is for the Toronto defenders, Leonard and those guys, to play the hard defense without sacrificing their offense. Yeah. And you know, that's not necessarily an easy thing to do, because a lot of great scorers, I don't want to say they rest on defense, but there's very few players that play extremely hard. And I don't know, justifiably, you're talking a 48-minute game, and you know, Toronto's bench is not extremely deep. They're relying on a lot of minutes out of their starters. So, you know, does Leonard kind of, I don't want to say relax on defense, but we know he's a great defensive player, but do we want to force him to play that hard of defense, and all of a sudden maybe he tires on the offensive end and not giving us his offensive production, which is phenomenal and probably been the best in the playoffs so far this year, better than any one individual player. I mean, he's put the points on the board, the assists on the board, the rebounds on the board. The only other one even close to him was the center for Denver. What was that guy's name? Zonic, or what was his name?
Jokic.
Yeah,
for
Jokic. Yeah. I mean, he's the only one I thought that was kind of mastering close to what Leonard was doing offensively consistently. I mean, everybody's having their 30 and 40-point games, and certainly Durant was when he was playing. So was
Damian
13
Lillard
for Houston.
Yeah,
13 for
James
Houston. Harden was putting points on the board too. But they're out. They're gone. So I don't know that I want to commit Kawhi Leonard is that much defensively, and because he pretty much is the bulk of the offense for Toronto, and I think their best bet is for him to – the best bet for them, in my eyes, is for him to neutralize Giannis offensively and then let the rest of the team see who has the better support. In this case right now, on paper, it looks like it's Milwaukee has the better support team around their superstar.
Yeah, and that's the other big thing, and I agree with you, on that Kawhi. You don't want to tire him out defensively.
Right.
But what helps them out there is that they do have a guy like Siakam, who's another elite-level defensive player.
Right.
So they don't have to all go on Kawhi to guard Giannis. They can put Siakam on him if he needs to rest defensively. So, they can get creative here. But
I don't have the stats up. I don't have the stats up in front of me. How much of an offensive threat is Siakam? I mean, do they rely on his offense a lot, or do they kind of rely on him defensively?
He is another he's easily their second best offensive weapon. He's averaging about 21 points a game through the playoffs. That's important. Yeah. So they score. I think he scored, about 17 points a game during the regular season. So he's certainly an offensive weapon. That's kind of the two-headed duo there for Toronto. But Steve, I think you just hit the nail on the head there, though. Ultimately, what it comes down to is they have to slow down Giannis. But even doing that, I just think Milwaukee has a better supporting cast in this series. I just think top to bottom, that's just the better roster.
And I think that's the story with Golden State as well with Curry. You've got to exert a lot of effort to shut Steph Curry down. And even then, that doesn't always work, because when you can bomb, 30-foot three-pointers routinely and shoot 45% doing that, it's just so hard to guard somebody that far away from the basket with that kind of efficiency. Who knows how to get open? And definitely, Golden State has a strong supporting cast, much as Milwaukee does. But that's what having a superstar does for you when you got a supporting cast. It creates problems for anybody to defend, and that's why Milwaukee and Golden State are both the number one seeds in each of the respective conferences. Yep. So we'll get a taste of it tonight. I would expect Milwaukee to win this game. They're playing in Milwaukee. They haven't played there since the early '80s, mid '80s, sometime around then, where they were this far into the playoffs. I can't remember what it was, but it's been quite a while. It's certainly been a long time. Yeah, it's been a long time. And it's early '70s with Robertson and who else? Cinder at that point in time. Yeah. Since they won the last championship, and they were actually an expansion franchise at that time, weren't they? I think weren't they the first team to come in one of their first 2 years as an expansion team and win? They could have been. I don't know. There's some lore to that somewhere down the road. Yeah. Okay, so we've kind of previewed. You've done a great job of previewing it. We got a taste of the Western Conference. I think Golden State's in charge here, but that could get all shot to heck with the next game. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think they have the luxury now, the way they played, going 1 up, and if they go 2 up, they have an incredible luxury of just letting Durant sit and let him be 100% if they get to the finals, because certainly Milwaukee is going to be very difficult to have success when you got to go against a healthy Durant, a healthy Steph Curry, and the rest of the support cast of that team. Well, and the other guy that we haven't even really mentioned is DeMarcus Cousins. Who knows when he'll be back, but that's another elite-level player when he's healthy. Is he going to come back? Is there a possibility that he's going to come back for the playoffs? So there is a part. I don't know. Last I saw, they thought he could come back for the Western Conference Finals. I don't think that's confirmed. Certainly it's going to depend on how long the series goes. They haven't given a date that he'll be back by. But they do think he can come back during the playoffs. Whether that would be for this series or later on the finals, I'm not sure, but they are hopeful he'll return at some point. What's the prognostication for Durant? Are they saying he could be possibly playing by the second half of this series, or are they still saying he may not even play? I haven't heard anything lately on his condition. What's the thought process? I mean, we can bring him back if we have to, but as long as we don't have to, we probably won't. Is that kind of the song and dance they're giving us?
That's what I would think. They said, from what Steve Kerr said on it, that he's not that particularly close to coming back. Whether that's actually true or he's just saying that to try to get an edge, who knows. But they haven't specified his status, outside of game one, in which he obviously missed. I would be surprised if he misses most of this series. I can see them holding him out maybe one more game, but I'd be surprised if he misses more than that.
Well, I think the telltale sign is games 2 and 3. If they go to Portland 2-up and they happen to win game 3 and they go 3-up, he ain't playing. I guarantee you he ain't playing. He's going to sit till the championships, and he's going to be 100% healthy at that point in time. And they're going to recondition him. They're going to strengthen his calf muscles, and they're not going to do anything even if they lose game 3 and win game 4. I don't think you see him before game 4 or till after game 4. I think really, truly, even if it goes back to 2 and 2, then you pull him out and play him. And then you've got a best out of 3 series, 2 games in Golden State, and you bring Durant back, and even a 95% healthy Durant is better than 99% of the players in the NBA.
Yeah.
Okay, so we picked the winners. I'm liking, at this point, Golden State and Milwaukee, but, it's why they roll the ball on the court and play. It's why they just don't put it on a computer and have the IBM machine or the Apple machine figure out the winner. They roll it out and play. There's human error all across the board in players and in referees and in everything.
Yeah.
So the other big news that happened last night was the lottery pick. And, boy, after they got to the Final Four, were we all starting to think conspiracy theory here?
Yeah.
I mean you got a team with the least possible chance of getting a lottery pick in the top 4 is the first team put in there.
Yeah.
And then you've got your 2 major markets, New York and Los Angeles. Both teams in dire need. Both teams vital to the success of the television packages with the NBA. They want championship caliber teams in both those cities. So they've got those 2. You've got them intertwined with Memphis and New Orleans.
Yep.
And I know the minute that happened, Mike texted me and just said, I think your theory of conspiracy theory might be coming to fruition here. And I think had Los Angeles got it, I think there would have been crying foul somewhere, bloody clean. So everyone's screaming bloody murder. The question I have there, just hypothetically before we get into it, would Zion and LeBron get along? Is there enough room or basketball for those 2 players?
Yeah, well, certainly, I would say they can. Obviously LeBron's a great guy for Zion to learn under just purely from style of play. They're both athletic freaks, and LeBron had some tips for him. But, and we've talked about this throughout the season. I think a lot of it depends is how locked in is LeBron in L.A. I mean, how serious and focused is he on basketball, or is he in L.A. for other ventures? I think that's the big thing with LeBron.
I think it's a combination of both, heading toward the other things right now. If hypothetically, and we don't spend a lot of time on this because we want to talk about the draft, but had that happened, I think that LeBron would have had to basically change his game.
Yeah.
Because you definitely would want Zion to be the future and the scoring machine of this basketball organization. LeBron would have to step up and become a leader, become a playmaker, a coach on the floor, and not worry so much. But maybe that's a luxury to him at this point in his career, where he would have not had to think about putting 30, 35 points on the board to get his team to win. And he could do other things. But, I think the general consensus out here in Los Angeles is that he's out here to get in the movie business. And, there was a 2-part special on Muhammad Ali last night on ESPN, or no, on HBO. I don't know if you're aware of that or not. I've DVR'd it, but I have not watched it. It's a 4-hour deal, I believe, or 3-hour deal. And it was executive produced by LeBron James. So he definitely is. He's moving to that direction. And I know they had a minor rally and protest out here in front of Staples Center with a bunch of idiot fans. Come on, really, seriously. Pissing and moaning that the Lakers weren't doing what they needed to do. But these projects take time. I still think LeBron was a good investment for Los Angeles, if nothing else, for ticket sales, which Lakers don't really need to sell tickets, but they can up their prices of tickets, having LeBron there. And the one thing that surprised me is the trouble they've had of getting other players to come and want to play with LeBron. That's the thing, and that's the thing they've got to work on right now is they still have got to explore the free agent market. They've got to look at maybe trading some picks to get some players in here, and we'll go through that as we go through the draft and see what opportunities present themselves there. But, and New York seems to be poised to, if the rumors are true, we're hearing Durant wants to go to New York. We're hearing Kyrie Irving wants to go to New York. These are all speculative rumors that haven't been substantiated yet. The interesting one is there's a lot of talk about Brad Stevens maybe going back to college. Are you picking any vibes up on that?
I've not heard that, no. Certainly, the fact that those rumors are happening doesn't surprise me.
Michigan's open. What a great place.
Yeah.
If you're going to go back to college basketball, Michigan's job would be a phenomenal job to take.
Well, did you hear Terry Rozier's comments the other day,
No.
Steve? I don't know if you heard that. So,
no, what did Terry Rozier say?
Essentially, he gave some pretty interesting insight into that whole Celtics dynamic, but essentially that he kind of felt like the coaches were favoring Kyrie and Golden Hayward, and they weren't being held to the same standard as everyone else. And, I think more or less it just pretty much cemented the idea that team had some serious issues inside the locker room. The fact that they would have players come out and say that. Yeah,
you could kind of tell that because they were playing disjointed basketball in the playoffs. They weren't playing as well as they played last year. And that would bode well as to why that was probably going on. Obviously, Stevens coached Hayward in college. Kyrie is kind of a player who commands pampering and attention. That's why he struggled with LeBron in Cleveland. He struggled pretty much everywhere he's gone just because he wants to be the focus of everybody's love and adulation. So, I don't know. That could be true. But I do know that Brad Stevens was not disappointed to be leaving Butler and going to the NBA because when he was in Indianapolis, I knew people that knew him fairly well and said that he pretty much despised recruiting. He did not like going out and recruiting players. And the biggest reason now you hear what coaches don't like about college basketball is the recruiting issue and the recruiting part of it. Too many of these blue chippers are commanding money. Coaches are getting put in awkward positions. Where parents are coming to them and cutting deals, trying to cut deals. Shoe companies want to back it. We've got trials going on over it. And sometimes I think these coaches are just put in compromising positions. And I don't know if you ever saw the movie Blue Chips with Nick Nolte. I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
Did you see it or not? Don't lie to me.
I know. I have not. I've heard of it. I've never seen it, but.
Okay. Well, it's basically a fictitious representation of UCLA and what was going on. That the coach was didn't want to know what was going on. The alumni were handling everything, and friends of the program, as they were called, and that was kind of the story that happened out here at UCLA with Wooden. Wooden knew what was going on, but he didn't want to know. All he ever said was, basically, I only am worried about what my players do inside the lines of the basketball court. What they do outside is not of any of my concern. Yeah. And that was the story of Sam Gilbert and his crew whining and dining and paying these guys big jack to come to UCLA. And I think there's a lot of college coaches that face that right now. With a lot of players that come in and say, I'll come, but what's the package? And, if they aren't competitive, then they aren't coaches very long, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just too much money to be made. And the NCAA is gobbling it all up. All right, let's get into the draft. Let's get into the lottery. It's not really a draft; it's a lottery. Any surprise at number one? New Orleans gets it. I think it's the best thing that could have happened. The Lakers didn't get it, or New York, you could because they had one of the highest percentage chances to get it. You could have stomached New York, but boy, if the Lakers had gotten it, holy cow!
There would have been a lot of conspiracy theory calls out there.
Yeah, is Zion going to be happy at New Orleans?
Yeah,
he's just happy to be playing pro basketball.
Yeah. I mean, you're the number one pick. It's tough to complain, I would think. I don't think Zion, at least so far, has proven to be a hothead or anything that would cause issues there. Now, the real intrigue about this to me is, so if you're the Pelicans, what are you going to do with Anthony Davis now? Do you trade him and you stock up young talent, and do you try to build around
that was my next question.
Or do you use Zion and appeal to him and say, okay, we can win with this team. We have Zion now, and you try to build around with Anthony Davis and Zion, as you try to make a run at this thing.
Well, the $10 question there, Cole, is was Anthony unhappy because he didn't like New Orleans, or was he unhappy because they weren't competitive?
Yeah.
And here's a kid that wants to win championships and play for championships, and he didn't see that coming in his prime days at New Orleans. So I guess now their GM has got to go back and say, okay, Anthony, does this change your thought process? Do you want to stay? Do you want to stay and work with Zion? I think we can build a franchise here. We've still got free agency. We can pick up some guards, pick up some support players. There's guys that are unhappy where they are. You look at a Klay Thompson, who I don't know what his feelings are there, but it looks like Golden State's going to disassemble to some degree. And all of a sudden now that becomes a great franchise to go to now is New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans is not a bad city. It's wet. It floods all the time. But, it's a great city. It's a great sports town. I mean, the Saints do well there. So do players look at there now with Zion there and with Anthony Davis there and say, I'm going to go there because I think that's a team one or two players short of being a contender real quick. So I don't know. And if not, I think the worst mistake they can make would be to keep him if he's going to stay disenchanted.
Yeah,
because then he'll just drag down Zion and everybody.
Yeah,
and they're going to build a team around Zion. I mean, they're going to build that team around Zion.
Yep.
I mean, they have to.
Yep. I think you're completely correct. If they keep Anthony Davis, they have to be 100% positive he's bought in. I mean, there cannot be any doubt there. If there is doubt, then they can trade him for a huge package. I mean, there are teams that will give up a lot for Anthony Davis. And, just purely from a young talent standpoint, I mean, they can build an impressive roster there, even without Anthony Davis. So, they've got decisions to make.
Well, the big talk is obviously the Knicks. The Knicks covet Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
And they're projected to take number 3, R.J. Barrett, who is Zion's teammate.
Yep.
Are you better off letting Anthony Davis go to the Knicks and maybe giving up getting R.J. Barrett and maybe a first-round pick down the road?
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is proven. No, he's a proven superstar in the NBA. He's a better risk, a better gamble than R.J. Barrett is as a risk. And if it bears out that Anthony Davis still grumbles about staying in New Orleans, even because now he's probably going to play second fiddle to Zion.
Yeah.
He's going to share the spotlight. I'm not going to say he's going to play second fiddle. He's going to share the spotlight as opposed to owning the spotlight. So do they go to the Knicks and say, look, we'll give you Anthony Davis, you give us RJ, you give us your third pick, which they would take RJ Barrett possibly, and you give us your first round pick next year, and we'll cut a deal that way. I don't know. So
yeah, certainly. I think the Lakers will be involved in a lot of trade discussions for Anthony Davis as well. I don't know if they'll have what it takes.
Yeah, and they've got the fourth pick. So yeah, you're right. They've got the fourth pick, but. In every poll I've seen, RJ is projected to go number 3.
Yeah, all right.
But then,
I don't see
do the Knicks just take him? Do they take him if they don't get Anthony Davis? You don't know at that point in time. We're all speculating, guessing. But is there much more to say about Zion? I mean, he's gone. He's one of the best players to come out in the draft, and God knows how long. He's a bona fide impact player, superstar, game one. The only thing he's got to worry about now is staying healthy on the rigors of the NBA.
Yeah, I think the big thing for Zion, is if he can add a consistent outside shot from NBA three-point range, I don't see how you guard him. I mean, with that athleticism, the strength that he has, if he gets a consistent outside shot, I think, that's a bona fide superstar right there in the NBA.
Yeah, I don't think there's much more to say about him. I mean, that's the one lock pick. Grizzlies take second. Morant seems to be the most common name tossed around in most of the mock drafts I've looked at on everybody. Conley's getting old.
Morant. That's what I was. Yeah, that's just what I was about to say.
You finish it out.
Yeah, just about to say is obviously the Zion thing raises a bunch of questions about Anthony Davis. What are they going to do with him? Grizzlies, Mike Conley was in some trade discussions last year. If they do go with where everyone expects them to go and take Morant out of Murray State, that's another pretty big name on the trade market that I think we could see some movement from with Mike Conley. So I know there's been some Pacers have been involved with him, and some other teams I think will be involved there. But that's another move where that could really change, a lot of teams' plans in the off season if Mike Conley becomes available.
Yeah, my fear with Mike Conley is two things. Age, he's old. I mean, he played with Greg Oden back in North, and then at Ohio State. That was eons ago, wasn't it? Was that in the 80s? That could have been in the 80s.
Yeah,
it's probably early 90s. I mean, Conley's been in the league a long time. I mean, as a matter of fact, I saw where he's one of the wealthiest NBA players there is in terms of money made over his entire career. I think Dirk Nowitzki's number one in terms of total dollars made over the course of his career. But I think Conley's name's up there, too. Age is a factor with Conley, and secondly, salary. I mean, he signed a huge contract. It's huge.
Yeah,
he's got one of the biggest contracts in the NBA. You don't hear about it a lot because you don't hear about the Grizzlies a lot, and you don't hear about Mike Conley a lot. But he's been a solid player for them. But he's almost now, if you take that, you're going to buy his contract, which is going to hurt your salary cap. And also, he's a player that needs to go to a team that's win right now quality team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I was very disappointed in Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul hurt the Rockets. I know he put some points on the board, but he seemed disenchanted with the whole process. But you take like a Conley on that team, and maybe Conley sees the opportunity to win a championship with maybe a possible dismantled Golden State. And then all of a sudden, maybe Houston revitalizes themselves with Conley and Harden in the backcourt. And the rest of the teams they've got. But, so it's looking right now that most every draft I've seen is Morant, slated to go number 2. He's ambidextrous, good passing skills, solid playmaker, led the nation in assists. He's got to work on his shooting a lot as the dossier goes on him. Led the country in transition points. So he's the kind of guy that will run your offense. He'll motivate, he'll organize your offense, and he'll make your offense much more efficient. So that's what we're kind of looking at right now is Morant going second. Most of the ones I saw have R.J. Barrett now going to the Knicks if they couldn't get the big guy. If indeed they get R.J. Barrett, and then all of a sudden they get a Durant, if that comes to fruition, and even if they get a Kyrie Irving, you take those 3 players, and the Knicks are contenders immediately.
Yep, definitely.
I mean, they are contenders immediately. Now, if you take R.J. Barrett and you go down to the Pelicans and say, look, you got a disenchanted player, like we talked earlier, we'll give you the 3rd pick, which you can take R.J. Barrett if you want to. You now have, a shooting guard or a shooting guard or a small forward to complement. These guys get along fine. The chemistry is going to be there between these 2 players. and you're going to have a young nucleus to use your cap money, your salary money, get some free agents in there. Maybe they can help you right now. There's going to be plenty available, and maybe you swindle another first-round pick next year out of the Knicks to give up Anthony Davis. So I think that New York's sitting in a good position right now. I think New Orleans is sitting in a good position, and involves the number 3 pick in my eyes. Any comments there?
Yeah, no, I think it's pretty much, obviously the Knicks, a lot of what they do is going to depend on who they can get in free agency. But, yeah, certainly I think, like you said, the Knicks and definitely I think the Lakers at the 4th pick are going to be heavily involved in trade discussions for Anthony Davis,
right.
With those 2 picks.
And as are the 4th pick, the Lakers.
Yeah. I've seen mostly
the SB Nation has DeAndre Hunter going to the Lakers right now, telling me they're still putting a lot of faith in Lonzo Ball to become the point guard they expected him to become. He's in his 3rd year now, and he really hasn't shown me to be the number 1 pick overall yet. He hasn't made that kind of contribution to the Lakers. I'm not sure he starts 100% of the time out here.
Yeah,
he's injured. He's injured quite a bit. I don't know what's going on, but is DeAndre Hunter a good pick for the Lakers as they sit right now, or is that trade bait right there too? That pick.
Yeah,
if say Anthony Davis decides you don't go to New York, you'd rather come out and surf and get chased by sharks, and
Yeah, no, I certainly think DeAndre Hunter is a good pick for them. I think that's the best player available there, and he would definitely help them. But, I mean, it's like you said, the Lakers are, I think, when you sign LeBron in his mid-30s, you're in win-now mode, right? You don't want a young guy, and you're going to say, okay, we'll give him a few years to develop and get into that, hopefully reach his potential. They want someone that can win now. They want guys that can get LeBron over that finish line now. I don't know if DeAndre Hunter's that guy, which is why I think they'll be heavily involved. And not just Anthony Davis, and they'll probably look around the league, see what they can get. But I think, they're going to try to use that pick to get a guy that's proven, get a guy that can win right now.
Well, heck, they got Lance Stevenson. What more do they need?
Oh, it's that born ready, baby. I mean, not a whole lot you can do. But, but, hey, the Lakers, I mean, you talked about it a little bit earlier. They've had a lot of trouble convincing guys in free agency to come play with LeBron. So, they may have to do it through a trade instead of convincing a guy in free agency. So,
I think it's a bad rap on. I think it's a bad rap on LeBron too.
Yeah, the Lakers are kind of in a danger zone. I think. I just guys don't really seem to want to play with LeBron. Kawhi, I mean, there's obviously, they said they were going to get Paul George last year. He passed. The rumor is Kawhi Leonard is going to go to L.A., but to the Clippers, right? Not to the Lakers.
Yeah,
he doesn't want to play with
Clippers.
LeBron.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, there's also rumor that Durant was coming to the Clippers too. That was a possibility that Durant and Kawhi were coming to the Clippers. That's been floated out there. I don't know the percentage of validity on that, but that's been floated out here in LA too. That the Clippers are really the team that's in the catbird seat to be getting players and not the Lakers.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I just think people aren't high on the Lakers for whatever reason. They're just kind of avoiding that team. Obviously Frank Vogel's going to have his work cut out for him there. No.
Jason Kidd's going to have his work cut out for him.
Jason Kidd. Yeah, well,
Frank Vogel's a figurehead there.
Well, I just think, and the scary thing is look how much better Milwaukee is now that they got rid of Jason Kidd, right? I mean, so they brought Mike Budenholzer in, who's completely made Milwaukee a better team from when Jason Kidd was leading the charge there. But I just think the Lakers, they're in trouble here. They need guys that can win now, and I'm not sure anyone wants to go there to win right now. So
yeah, I think they, of any of the teams in the lottery, needed that first round pick. Probably more so than anybody. Really, really, truly, they needed it because they are probably, in terms of what our expectations are of the Lakers and what their results are bearing out, they're in the deepest hole, I think, of anybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, the NBA needs the Lakers performing at a high level. That's their second biggest television market. And, you know, the Clippers really are not the darlings of anybody, although they're a playoff team, and they're getting stronger as things go. Doc Rivers is finally doing a good job there with them. But the Lakers are – I think a lot of this has got to fall on Ball. I think that they invested heavily in him. Surprisingly, his dad's been awful quiet. They must have put the foot down on him.
I haven't heard
I haven't heard anything from Ball. I was thinking about that the other day. I said, that idiot hadn't been on TV at all, mouthing off at all. That must have mean they brought him in and sat him down and said, if you want your kid to not be playing in Alaska, you know, or Toronto or you know, Memphis or somewhere where he's going to go into oblivion, I would shut up, we'll give you seats, shut up, sit and watch the game, cheer your kid on, and don't mouth off anymore. I have a feeling that happened in some fashion or form.
Yep.
Okay, so we go down to we got right now DeAndre Hunter projected to go to the Lakers. I mean, again, this is one of many mock drafts. Cavaliers looking to replace Kyle Korver, maybe looking at Jared Culver, shooting guard from Texas Tech. Is that a good pick for them?
I've seen that. Yeah, I could see Culver. I've seen a few mock drafts that have them going Cam Reddish there as well. I would personally, I would lean Culver, I think.
Yeah, Reddish seems real inconsistent in his play.
Yeah. So, you know, I certainly think that's a team that is just trying to stockpile young talent. I think, you know, they've got, you know, some potential there on their team when you look at, you know, some of the young pieces the Cavaliers have. And certainly a shooting guard of the future is something they'd be looking at investing in. I think probably Culver's the best bet for him there. I think that's the route you'll see them go. And so that, you know, they have the potential to build a strong backcourt there when you look at, you know, the different pieces they have. Sexton is a young, nice point guard for them. He had a pretty solid rookie year, all things considered. I know the team wasn't great, but there's potential there to form, you know, a good backcourt duo with Sexton and, you know, Culver or Reddish, depending on where they go there.
Yeah. Okay. Phoenix Suns draft 6, projected Darius Garland, Vanderbilt, point guard. It seems to me Phoenix needs everything. Phoenix just needs, you know, they need everything. Phoenix is an interesting team. They have talent. They certainly have, you know, when you look at the top picks they've had over the years, Devin Booker is obviously there. You know, and they've had scoring talent, but for whatever reason, they haven't been able to turn that talent into wins. They've consistently been one of the worst teams in the NBA. They have, you know, DeAndre Ayton was the one pick last year. Devin Booker has been one of the best scorers in the league ever since he's been there. So, you know, it's obvious they're going to have the ability to add another nice young piece. They don't really have a dominant point guard right there. I think they've really been playing Devin Booker, who's more of a shooting guard. He's been playing kind of a point guard role for them. So I think Garland's probably the route they go there to get a true point guard on that team. And Garland's considered he's considered the second best point guard out there, isn't he?
Yeah.
Behind
Morant.
Morant. Yeah, behind Morant. Yeah. So, all right, Bulls. Now you're getting down into a lot of things could go here different ways.
Yeah.
Bulls are looking right now projected. Kobe White from North Carolina, another point guard, shooting guard. You know, the game's changed enough, Cole, that when I was playing, big guys were what you want to get your hands on.
Yep.
You know, you wanted an Olajuwon, you wanted a Moses Malone, you wanted a Jabbar. You wanted to have that big guy anchoring your offense. But the game's changed so much, the way the game's played now, it's the point guards that are so valuable to these teams now. And everybody's trying, you know, the power forwards are a dime a dozen. Everybody's a small, you know, shooting forward or a power forward, and that's pretty much the game. You don't see many teams. I mean, Denver's one of the few teams in the NBA that has what I would call really a true center.
Yeah.
And really, you look at where he plays on the perimeter quite a bit too. So, but it's these point guards that really are what teams just covet and what teams seem to lack so much. So Kobe White, a good pick for. Would he help the Bulls?
Yeah. I think that's probably, you know, if the draft falls the way we think, it's going to be the best player available. A young point guard is something the Bulls are wanting to invest in. Certainly, the Bulls are actually a team I kind of quietly like what they're building over there in Chicago. I like the addition of Otto Porter there. I thought he helped them out. Wendell Carter Jr. is a nice young piece there. Zach LaVine is a guy that certainly I'm not sure how well his style, translates to winning, but he puts up obviously impressive numbers and he's very talented. But again, it's kind of similar to Phoenix. What they need is a true point guard. No one they have is really a true dominant point guard. They have Chris Dunn, who's played that role, with some mixed results. I think Kobe White is good enough to come in there and start for them from day one. And the Bulls, they have talent, but they're building for the future. I think Kobe White fits right in with there.
Yeah, I think at this point in the draft now, you are in a situation where you're not likely to get an impact player who's going to change the dynamics of your team immediately. Yeah. You're getting a building block for the future. Number 8 Hawks with their first of 2 picks, Cam Reddish, another shooting guard, small forward.
I think so, yep.
Inconsistency's been the book on him. Great player when he's good, but not consistently great. What's the take on Cam Reddish? Is he a good fit for the Hawks' first one of 2 picks they have?
Yeah, I think certainly. Look, I think Cam Reddish was. I think kind of we forget. I mean, this was probably the 2nd or 3rd ranked player coming out of high school this past season when he went to Duke. He kind of got overshadowed a little bit by definitely Zion and to a lesser extent R.J. Barrett there. But this is still a player that has a ton of talent, was expected, to be one of the best players in college basketball. Didn't quite live up to the hype. But I think just from a pure talent standpoint, they take Cam Reddish here. He didn't play great in college. I think he only shot, I want to say like 34 or 35% from the field.
35.6% from the floor as a freshman. Yeah, only 35%.
So he struggled from the field, but again, the talent is there. He just couldn't quite put it all together in Duke. I'm sure playing with those 2 dominant players and Barrett and Zion made that tough for him. And I think Atlanta's banking that they can access that potential and they can get him playing well.
Well, this is the kind of player. Reddish is the kind of player that if he gets out from under the shadow of Barrett and Williamson, he may blossom.
Yeah.
We just being socked into the number 3 spot on a team like Duke. First off, it speaks highly that the 3rd best player on that team is a number 8 pick in the lottery. What's that tell you about Duke? First off, but this is a kid who could fit the billing. He's going to be inconsistent and be a journeyman NBA player. This could be a kid who's just been overshadowed by 2 players just a little better than him or getting more opportunity than he was getting. And he gets out into the shadow of these 2 guys, and he goes to a team that needs him to utilize his skills full time. He could explode and blow up and blossom and be, a sleeper pick in the draft and a great pick.
Yeah.
Wizards going to go 9th. Rumors are Bol. They want a center, I guess. I don't know. What do you think of this pick? I've seen Bol. I've seen. I've definitely seen Sekou Doumbouya. I don't even know how to say Doumbouya, who's kind of a French basketball player. I've seen a few different names there. But, Bol's kind of tough to get a read on. He only played 9 games in college. So there's not – certainly if they're going to go that route, they're going to bank off, what his talent level was, in high school. And obviously he's a very coveted recruit coming out of high school. And he performed well in those 9 games. He was nearly a double-double guy. Obviously, looking just at his lineage and genes, he comes from a great basketball family. And defensively, he has a ton of potential in that end. He has great size at 7'2". But, he's an unproven piece. And Washington, really they kind of went with Thomas Bryant at center there down the stretch, who played well for him, but he's not a dominant center. So I can see why they'd want to go down the route and grab a guy like Bol. The thing about Bol is he seems to have some foot issues. I mean, I know they're working on that, and that's a question. You know, you're playing upwards of 100 games in the NBA, and you're bounding on your feet every day. Durability is my concern with this guy. Is how durable is he going to be and be able to give you enough minutes to make it worthwhile to take a number 9 pick and use him or build any kind of offense around him or even a defense around him. How much playing time is he going to be able to give you? Is he physically strong enough to hold up? College is a different world. You play 35, 36 games, 40 games maybe at most if you're going deep in the tournament. But you're getting a lot of time to rest. But in the NBA, you're sleeping in hotels. He's going to sleep in beds that are, 8 inches too short for him. He doesn't look of a solid build. He's slight in his build. I don't know. It's a risk. If the Wizards are willing to take, go for it. But he would be one of my bigger question marks in the lottery.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, then we get to number 10, and interesting. SB Nation has Romeo Langford going to the Atlanta Hawks in number 10. We both know Romeo. He's a Hoosier. We covered him all year long.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, also, I would be surprised if he goes that high. I think the question mark with Romeo is going to be, and he's been vocal about it, is one of the big knocks on him at IU was his outside shooting, that he couldn't shoot the ball very well from behind the arc. He claims that he had a thumb injury, and he did have a thumb injury. I think we can attest to that. It was wrapped up all year. Yeah, it was wrapped up all year. You could tell it was kind of bothering him at times. He says when he's healthy that he can shoot the ball better. So that's going to be the big thing is when a team looks at Romeo's season, how much they take into account that thumb injury, how much do they believe that affected his play. This was a top 5 recruit coming out of high school. Talent-wise, if you looked at a mock draft before the season started, he probably would have been a unanimous top 10 pick.
Right.
Obviously,
he was in everybody's early lottery pick. Sure.
Yeah. So his stock fell as the season went on. If he can convince a team that his stock fell due to injury, then I think you can see him creep back up into the lottery. Obviously, the teams are going to have to, give him physicals and stuff like that and, see where he is health-wise.
Right.
I would be surprised if he goes at 10. I think that would be a bit of a shock to me. But I can certainly see him climbing his way to the back end of the lottery. And also, I can see him falling to, the late teens, early 20s. And Romeo's a guy I can see. I wouldn't be really too surprised either way where he falls. I think that's a guy that could really has a wide range where he could go. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's my theory on Romeo. I think this, having watched him play all year, I think that IU was a bad fit for Romeo, and I think Romeo was a bad fit for IU.
Yeah,
I really think that I don't think that Romeo was a good fit for what Miller was trying to get done at IU. I think he coddled Romeo too much. He tried to build too much around Romeo, and I think there was a lot of pressure put on Romeo if he was playing with an injury. And I think a lot of his teammates just all of a sudden bought into the camp theory that Romeo's going to carry us and get everything done for us. So I think in that case that Romeo was a bad fit. And I think that Romeo really, had he gone somewhere more like a Kansas or a North Carolina, I think he would have flourished more as a player. I don't think there's any question about his skill sets. There's question about his injury on his thumb, and I'm going to buy that. But I think Romeo is probably a little bit like Cam Reddish in a sense that he has the potential to really end up being a great pick. I see the way he plays basketball. He's got to improve his outside shot. There's no doubt. But, they've got tons of people to work with him on that in the NBA. I mean, my God, they employ entire coaching staffs that do nothing but work off season with guys with their shooting and things of that nature. I have no concerns that if he has the ability to learn, they'll have the ability to teach. And his shot will improve. But the way he plays basketball, I think is probably better suited for the NBA than it is for college. And again, I say about Romeo again, I just repeat myself. IU wasn't a good fit for him, and he was not a good fit for IU, but I think there was a lot of pressure on him to go there. I think he was over-recruited, and I think there was pressure for Archie to take him. And I think once they married up together, they probably both realized, this may not have been the best thing that could have happened.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion of the whole process.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to slam Archie, and I'm not going to slam Romeo. I just think it was not the best fit for either one of them.
Yeah, no,
I think
definitely.
IU would have succeeded more without him, and let Finney and the rest and Juwan become more involved in the offense more consistently. And I think Romeo would have succeeded better in a more free-form offense, like a Kansas or a North Carolina, or even a Duke. But Duke was so talent-laden, they probably didn't. Now, they would have taken him, obviously, but that would have not have been a good fit for him either. But there were other schools he could have gone to that might have been a better fit for him. But anyway, let's see what happens with him. So let's tell you what, that's the top 10. Why don't we stop there? Because the rest of them now, that's pretty much the lottery at that point in time. Is there anybody else we need to talk about? Just kind of running down through the mock here. Timberwolves were looking at taking. Do you spell? That name? Say it.
Yeah. Dimboya, I believe.
Dimboya, yeah.
I believe so.
Any comment there? Just that we're talking into maybe best players available. This far down, or what they can get their hands on. That's ranked high. Charlotte Hornets, Jackson Hayes, Texas freshman. Miami Heat, Kevin Porter Jr. Is that Kevin Porter's son? Didn't Kevin Porter play in the NBA?
Yeah.
There was a Kevin Porter that played in the NBA, yeah.
Yeah, so
let's see if it's
I'm not positive if that is the relation there. It very well could be. But, I just think when you get down to this, I think you hit the nail on the head. A lot of this is just best player available. Yeah. I don't think teams are necessarily looking at fit and stuff at this point. You're just trying to get that that lottery level talent here. So.
And you might see some trades. You might see some trades going too.
Yeah. And trades can change a lot.
An 8 to 12 pick, you could say a trade for a team that's going to strengthen themselves, but could take an 8 or 9 or 10 pick and take up one of these best player available players. It would add something to their franchise in a timed fashion. It could be the Lakers might be a team that says, we're going to take a number 4 pick. Maybe we trade it and we end up getting an Anthony Davis. Then we trade down and we try and get a 9 or 10 pick and bring up another shooting forward. Or they've got Kuzma, who I think is more than adequate. Or we bring in another point guard, somebody down on that level that can add to the franchise. But I think once you get past the first 6 or 7 players, you're taking best players available.
Yep.
All right.
Yep, I agree.
Well, that's a look at it. Congratulations to the Pelicans. They've got an opportunity now, if they play this right, to be part of the process right away. First thing, the most important thing they got to do now is get Anthony Davis, decide on him, either make him happy that he wants to stay in New Orleans, or get rid of him right now, and dole him out before all the rhetoric starts coming up. Dole him out, get the other draft pick, and retool, whichever way they want to go. All right. Any other closing comments we want to talk about?
I think for the most part we've covered everything. Looking forward to that Milwaukee-Toronto game. I think that series will be very interesting to watch tonight. So. Yeah,
we'll have you back on. We'll talk about that later on in the week. We'll get, probably by Friday we'll do another NBA update. Let's see how the first 2 games go, because each of the teams will have played 2 games. We'll kind of get a read on how these 2 series are going to go. If our predictions are solid or not, we'll see. That's why they play the game. But all right, Cole, I appreciate you being on. Thanks for resident NBA writer. For everybody, Cole does have both previews for both the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals. And Cole will also be writing post-game analysis, and it'll be posted on our site. I don't know, are you going to do post-game after every game, or are you just going to kind of do sporadically? How are you going to do that?
Yeah, probably not every game. Probably what I'll do is wrap up after game 2. So probably after. Yeah,
maybe when they travel. After they travel.
Yeah. That was my plan. Was kind of just do and then do a recap of. Yeah. Every game gets tedious. So, Yeah.
All right. With that being said, I'm Steve Risley. This is Cole Hanna. We will probably be talking NBA no later than Friday again once we get a couple games under the belt from each of the two series. Again, I want to thank our sponsor, MyBookie AG. Really, truly, we can't do this stuff without our sponsors being supportive. We ask you to support our sponsors. And you can go to the banner link on top of our page. They'll walk you right through how to get the discount through the golf channel. There you go. There's my brain working through MyBookie AG and through thegruelingtruth.com. They'll walk you through the codes and everything you need to do. And again, the offer right now with MyBookie AG is 100% return on your first $300. You can start betting right away. And again, to do that, to make sure you're betting wisely, go to the Sheridan Report. Listen to them at 2:00 every day. Bobby Sheridan, like I said, I think he's 99-1. I think he's missed one bet, and it's not really true. Bobby's going to text me right away and say, "Don't say that stuff because it's not true." Bobby, you're good at what you do, and if I was going to gamble, I would certainly be following you. You know, Mike does, and like I said, I think he bought himself a new John Deere Gator. He can go grocery shopping in the winter. With that being said, we can be heard on Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, YouTube Radio, anywhere you can find a sports podcast. You can find thegruelingtruth.com. You can find Survive in Advance. You can find our boxing shows. You can find the Sheridan Report. You can find anything we do. We also are on Zeno Radio. There's an app you can download. Just go to the App Store and download thegruelingtruth.com. And you can get all of our podcasts and everything you need and all of our articles right there as well. It's a full-service app that we've created. Zeno Radio has created for us. So on behalf of Cole Hanna and for the absent Mike Goodpasture, who is on special assignment for us today, I'm Steve Risley. You have been listening to Survive in Advance, and we look forward to talking to you again tomorrow. With that being said, I got to find a place to get us out of here. I hit the wrong button. I hope we've been recording the whole time. That'd be bad news, wouldn't it?
That would be bad
Let's
news.
see. I'm going to click this button. Cole, thank you for joining us, and here we go.
Yep.
Let's see what